Hi everyone, it's Debbie here from the Paws and Pencils Art and Pencil Paws Academy. So today I'm comparing three surfaces for coloured pencil drawing, and they are drafting film, Bristol Vellum and Hotpress Paper. And this is so you can see how each one affects layering and colour. So to demonstrate this, I'm going to show you three pieces of my own work, all drawn with coloured pencils but on three very different surfaces. So my dog commission, which is drawn on Grafix double matte drafting film, a timber wolf drawn on Fabriano Artistico Hotpress Paper, and a dormouse drawn on Strathmore Bristol Vellum. Each surface holds coloured pencil differently, which affects how many layers that you can add, how the colours appear, and the techniques that you can use. So we're going to start with Strathmore Bristol Vellum, and this is the dormouse from our recent workshop. And so this is Strathmore Bristol Vellum. It's like card and it's got a slight tooth to it, and that means it's just enough texture for the coloured pencil to grip the surface. So this allows you to build a reasonable number of layers while still keeping the surface smooth enough for fine detail. It's particularly good for drawing things like fur, whiskers and small details. Because the surface isn't overly rough, the pencil strokes remain controlled and precise. And compared to the rougher surfaces, Bristol Vellum will hold fewer layers, but it's a lovely surface for detailed colour pencil work. And once you're building the layers, the pencils, because you're using a light to medium surface pressure on the surface, it glides over the surface really well. So next we're going to continue with Fabriano Artistico Hotpress, and this is the timber wolf, which is the full animal tutorial we've just finished inside the academy. And Hotpress paper is quite smooth, but it still has enough texture to accept multiple layers of colour pencil. So it's got more of a tooth to it, more than the Bristol Vellum, which is why you can add more to it. And for this piece, I started with the Albrecht Dürer watercolour pencils from Fabriano. So what I did is I applied the base layers with dry watercolour pencils at first, and then I activated them with water to create the base layer of colour and tone. And then once the paper was completely dry, I then built up the fur texture using dry coloured pencils on top, and that was mostly the Faber-Castell Polychromos pencils, because they seem to sort of work better on top of that, the watercolour pencils. So hot press paper works really well for this technique because it can handle both water and colour pencil layering. So it's a very versatile surface if you enjoy combining different media. So with this, when you're using it that the paper is not going to warp and buckle, and it'll still stay flat. Okay, so now we are on the Grafix Drafting Film, which is my current commission. This is the second of the three dogs that I'm doing, so I just need to finish the face on that. Now this is a lot different to the usual surfaces that we use because it behaves very differently from traditional paper. It's extremely smooth, which means the coloured pencil sits more on the surface rather than sinking into the fibres of the paper. Because of this, you usually need far fewer layers of pencils than you would on paper. So that's when you kind of really do need to plan your colours, where you're adding them, and you really do need to press lightly with it. Another really interesting feature of drafting film is that it's transparent. So if I just lift this up, you can see, and I slide this grey piece of paper behind it. There you go, you can sort of see what it looks like. So when you're actually drawing, you can use your line art underneath because you don't need to transfer anything onto it, and then you can keep moving it backwards and forwards just to sort of see where you are, and you'll say you don't need to use the line art, you can just carry on filling in the detail of the piece that you're working on. So this is double matte, which is the one that I would recommend always getting. So you can either use Grafix or you can use Polydraw. Make sure that both of them are double matte. So what that means is, because there's fewer layers on the front, you can actually flip the film over and apply colour to the back of it. And then when you turn it back over again, those colour pencils, well, the colours underneath make the colours on the front appear much richer and more vibrant. So this technique can really help colours pop while still keeping the layers on the front nice and soft. And that's what I've done here. So the this part of the harness was quite dark in the reference photo, and so I needed to sort of flip it over to sort of make it even more richer. So even though all three of these drawings we used colour pencils, the surfaces change how the pencils behave. Just put that back on there for you. So Bristol Vellum gives you a nice balance of texture and smoothness. Fabriano Hotpress allows you to combine watercolour pencils and colour pencils. And Drafting Film creates very smooth blends with the option to build colour from both sides of the surface. So choosing the right surface really depends on the effect you want to achieve in your artwork. So if you'd like to learn more about coloured pencil techniques, surfaces and drawing animals step by step, you can explore my tutorials inside Pencil Paws Academy. Inside the Academy you'll find full animal tutorials, materials lists, reference photos and a supportive community of artists learning together. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.